Minnesota State Representative Gao Li Wang He. I'm Minnesota State Representative Kali Vang He, and I'm the Speaker Pro Tem and the Democratic Chair of the Commerce Committee. My father is Guzi Sifu Jizu Wang He Na Ya Na Sifu Joyang. Gutu Boya No Ne Hua Ni Ya An Lai Gong Hao Tu Zai Tu Hao Ha Nam Wa Zhuo Lao Tu Tu Ni Hua Sing Gong. I wasn't expecting to speak today, but I'm really honored to be here with all of you. I'm maybe of the people who've been here, who've spoken, I probably knew Putzong the longest. I remembered when Yat Zongpo moved to Chipay, Wisconsin at the Fond du Lac. And I remember many stories that my father told me about his time in Laos, and that my father was one of the few people who actually had a formal education in Laos. But that was only possible because of the love and the generosity of Yeozong and Putzong. And my grandfather passed away before we made it to America. And so I remembered very much so how much my father wanted to make Yeozong and Putzong proud of him because they became his parental figures. And my father followed in the steps of Yeozong in becoming an entrepreneur. And I watched in my life, watching my father consult Yeozong on every business endeavor. I think even after Yeozong, she moved to California, and so as a young girl, I was very nosy, which is probably why I became an elected official. But I always wanted to hear what the adults were saying, so even though I wasn't a boy and I wasn't allowed to go anywhere, I would always listen in on my father's conversations with people. But I think that truthfully, even though the love story between my father and Yeozong is something that I will always cherish and hold true, the truth is that Putzong was the one who held an untold story that I think was very meaningful for me as a Hmong woman. It was very clear to me, watching all of the men in my life become very successful, and even though they were refugees to this country and had only been here shortly, I saw the men succeed because of the strong women that they leaned on. That as the men were out in community and the men were leading, it was the women at home raising their children and running the businesses for their husbands. And that women rarely ever saw the recognition that they deserved. And it is very true that Putzong was a woman of few words. I don't recall actually really hearing her say a lot of things to me. Although I think I remember a lot of wrestling, right? A lot of WWE, and a lot of cheering around that. But I will say that there was one time, I think I was about 14, where Putzong told me that she wanted to read my palm. And as a Christian, my mother said, no. And she said, don't listen to mom, she's crazy. But I listened because I wanted to know. And I grew up at a time where I wasn't allowed to date. So I came from a very conservative family. We were Christians, but my father also thought it was really important that none of us dated. So if a boy ever called us at home, he'd say, she's not home. And I'd be standing right there going, never going to get to go out on a date ever. So when Putzong told my fortune, I thought, how is this ever going to happen? So she looked at my palm, and she said that I would only have 2 loves of my life. And I thought, 2? I can't even go on a date. How will I even find one? And she said, your first one, you're going to really love him, but he's not the one for you. And then she said, but your second one, he's going to be very handsome and very, very kind and very good. And I looked at her and I thought, oh, okay. And I kind of tucked that memory away. And she told me to choose very wisely and for me to think about it. And so then she didn't say anymore. And I said, what can I, where will I meet him? How will I know when I find him? She's like, that's not the part of the fortune I tell. And so that was probably the longest conversation she and I ever had. And I tucked that memory away for a really long time. And I remembered meeting my first boyfriend and thought, this is the one. I gotta marry this guy. Because in Hmong culture, you don't get to date, right? You meet a guy, you're like, I think I can marry that guy, and then you marry him. But I met him at college, because that was probably the first time I dated was when I went to college. And I remembered when things weren't working out between us, and I was devastated because in our culture, you don't do that, especially if you're a good girl from a good family. And so then I let him go, and I was devastated, and then my husband showed up. And I was like, this guy fits the bill. He's taller than me, he's really handsome, he's really smart. And I was like, that's the one. And I remember meeting my husband for the first time, seeing him around campus, and I thought, that guy is going to be the father of my children. And he said, TMI, too much information. But I remember falling head over heels for my husband and bringing him home to my parents. And I don't know what I was doing. I was sitting one day and I thought about the fortune that Putzong had told me. And it really made me think about the fact of the strength of a woman who says so little, but told me to choose so carefully. Because I know that who I am today is because of my husband. That I was able to pursue the things in my life, and I was able to accomplish the things that I did because of my husband. That he let me move all over the country to pursue my job in the private sector for 15 years, and then when I begged him to let me be his stay-at-home wife, his trophy wife, he agreed. And then when I said I wanted to run for office, to his chagrin, he let me do it. And the things that I have put this person through, really, I feel very blessed that he is standing by my side today. And I know that she knew what it would take, the strength of the person who stands next to you, who holds you up, that she knew that. And it was her words that told me to remember to choose wisely. And I will always hold those words very strong in my heart and in my spirit, because she was the one person who gave me something to look forward to. When the Hmong community said, you cannot date, I'm like, I'm gonna have two loves, okay? And so I know I'm joking around a little bit today, but I also wanted to bring a little bit of light and love into this, because the truth is that our story and where we came from as Hmong people, what we fought, this is the 50th year of Hmong people in the United States of America, that the struggles that we have, the dreams that our ancestors had, was fought for us. It was because of Putzong's bravery in the war. It is Putzong's love and her support of the family. It is coming to America and starting a new life that built a foundation so that I could live out my ancestors' dreams. And so as we sit here today and we are filled with grief and sadness, that we also remember that we should be filled with gratitude and love and happiness for the path that was paved and laid for us. And that remember that for each person that helps you along the way, that is that partner who stands, that is your rock, that is the shoulders that you are standing on. And so when a wise woman wants to read your palm, you let her. Thank you so much.